Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to talk with Matt Dorman, who's going to really show you how to maximize what you're doing online. Look, all of you guys have these lame websites. They're boring. They're not there. You're really not getting much value out of it in a world where it's changing faster than ever. You saw the breakouts that are coming with AI today and the new announcements with OpenAI. You're going to start wanting to get on top of your websites and really create a digital footprint for yourself that the world can see and how AI will see it. And Matt's about to show you how to do that. Today's podcast, it makes sense for you to really understand what you're doing with your websites, how you can maximize these to get higher performance. Matt, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome.
Anthony, thanks so much for having me.
When we look at people and they're going, look, I got a website, right? I got this beautiful, for me, when I built the website, it was about a catalog, all right? Literally all I wanted to do is put a brochure online. So it's got my phone number, my email address. Here's a couple things about our company. It's really what it was this kind of pretty brochure that's out there. Not much functionality. It didn't really drive anything. I don't even know if I ever got any business from it. In fact, for most of the years, I thought to myself, people would come, you got to rebuild your website. I'm like, look, I don't know that anybody will ever come to my website because of or come do business with it because of our website. And today that world's changing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it does for the most part. I mean, there are still types of companies out there that still need a basic website with, like you said, the contact information, where they are, how to get to them, hours, store hours, things like that. But it still has to be done in the right way for AI to pick up, for people to find it, whether it's a Google search, they're going to find the hours and things like that. It has to be structured correctly.
In a world where AI starts to pick products and availability, we've been working on schedules that are just crazy, right? Here in the construction world, we're going to get them down to 15-minute increments. Imagine having, 70 people on a job site understand what their workflow is for the next, in 15-minute increments throughout the day, and having material deliveries and material supplies, all of that orchestration in a way that's never been done before in the construction world using AI. And where we're going with that, it's quite crazy. And in order for AI to pick those products, right, it has to have a pretty decent digital footprint available. Look, if you're doing a 15-minute schedule, understanding that a company's got the products and availability and it's available to be on site at a very specific time, that information is about to get, pretty required for each group, isn't it?
Yeah, and AI is not going to just pull it out of their, rear end, that information. I mean, it does sometimes. I mean, if you're doing an LM type thing, it's going to just tell you information. But in general, when it's going to give you the product information, when you can buy it, like promote things, it's going to have specific information around like how well this person's been delivering things, how quickly they can ship. And all those things have to be provided to AI. It's again, it will try, but if you're not providing it in a way that it can understand it quickly, it's going to go on to the next person that's providing it the better way.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You're a tent manufacturer. You get this cool tent. The more digital content you can have about the tent, the product, the how it's built, where it's about, how long it takes to build, the materials that you use to build it, the chemicals in the build, and understanding the product down to nth details. I mean, when I say little tiny details, those become really valuable in a world which, by the way, I don't think any of us can see today, right? I don't know that most of these manufacturers can see why we're saying to do this. I'm just telling people, hey, look, just get there. You maybe, but when cars were invented, you couldn't have possibly seen Uber. Right, you couldn't have possibly have known that Uber was going to come. You couldn't even imagine that you'd hit this little piece of plastic in your hand and that a car would come to you. Right, that was unfathomable at that point. Right. But today, as we start to really look at a future that's growing so much faster, getting that kind of details for each and every product availability is going to get much, much louder. And I keep trying to tell people, look, now's the time. Start working with web designers like yourself to start to bring that into play, where you start to understand your products better, and so does AI. It'll know your product in every little stitch on the fabric.
Right. I mean, if you look at, like, as a company, if you can look at all the questions you've ever had about your products, right? And most of the time you're not putting those on your FAQ page because you're putting like 5 or 6 very general. What color is it? Like, does it fade? Whatever. Like, but if you look at like Amazon, think of it that way. If you look at the product reviews, but also the questions and answers there, it's in a kind of a hard way to get to it. But if you did that on your website of your products, AI is going to then find those cute questions. And if you have provided real answers, that's now going to get bubbled into where people are actually because they're no longer going to be going to the website for the most part in the near future. Really, they're going to ask a question: "What I need a tent this weekend? Where can I get it?" And maybe it's going to ask some very specific questions to person, right?
Yeah, I mean, look if the reason why our FAQs were so short was because our monkey brains could not absorb. Look, none of us are going to go through 40 pages, or no, 140 pages, or maybe 40,000 pages of
Right.
data. AI will do that same transaction in second.
Yeah.
Right? Be able to go through all of the data, understand what it needs, and it'll be able to apply that to whatever it's trying to do for you. And that tent for the weekend, I can just imagine a world where most of us don't need to have, we'll have that kind of delivery, right? I'll order it now. I'll have it here by 7 a.m. this morning, and that's going to happen much, much faster.
Yeah. And the thing people don't think about also is because I've done some searches around, like some research around truck beds and stuff like that, like very specific stuff. And it's not coming up with answers from the manufacturer because I'm looking for a used truck for something, right? It's going through forums. And random people have given answers about the thing. So if you're getting both, it's kind of a review type thing too. If people are complaining about your bed 5 years ago or whatever it is, right? But it's in a forum that you never knew about. Well, AI is going to find that because your name is tied to it. And that's a thing that we look at, but we don't actually help fix that, unfortunately. That might be something we have to look at in the future, but we're not a social profile type company.
Look, a lot of my friends are saying, "Hey, look, forget this. AI is not going to," and they're trying to outrun AI to retirement, right? They're trying to go like, "Hey, forget it. I'm not going to have to deal with it. My kids will have to deal with it." I'm like, "Look, brother, you're not going to make it. This next year in 2026, this next year will really determine where you are in the AI world." Now look, you might still be able to do stuff in 2026. You'll still be able to get there. But those that are in it today, those that are in there today will separate from those that are starting next year or starting the year after, which you'll still have time to do, will separate from the group so fast. Their heads are going to spin. So I look at them and look at things and go, look, the understanding your product and getting more engaged so that your platform, your social media, your website, and the way your purchasing and your communication and delivery systems operate, and then knowing those systems in the back house, so literally from raw materials, being able to go through and go, all right, look, you're a tent manufacturer. Great. Let's go back to where does every piece of thread come from in that tent, right? Where the sticks, the pulls, and how are they made? How long do they take? All of that data today seems like a lot because our monkey brains can't comprehend it, nor do we want to because it's just too much for us. But in an AI world where information becomes king, right? Where information becomes power or speed to market or availability or trust, all of those things will compound in a way that a lot of us aren't seeing. So as we start looking at websites and start to really create today's what we call the foundation of a great website, what are the things that you're looking at, your structures for creating great foundations for them?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing we look at is how easily and how quickly can you maintain your content. So there are websites that put up their content and they just let that sit for a year. You talked about like your website, 20 years ago or whenever it was, right? Yeah, that's all it needed. But now you need to be constantly creating new content, creating new variations of your product content. And those are tools that can be very cumbersome and take hours or days potentially if you're working with someone else where you're sending it over and they're going to do it because you can't do it. But if you optimize it, it should be taking minutes. And then, I mean, this gets further into the weeds, but there are AI tools that can help you augment the content generation. We don't advocate creating it on its own, like pushing a button, but it can create it on the side. And then there's great tools of reviewing that content and then bringing it in, which vastly accelerate the time from like just an idea. Maybe it's an idea of a product or a variation of the product, getting it out to market. Maybe you're going to test it somehow.
I think all of those are in play, right? As the testing that you do, the work that you're doing, the A/B testing that your website will do. In a world where digital content is king, right? The static websites are just lazy, right? And by the way, I'm the king of it because every time someone walks into my office and says, "Hey, I want to redo the website," I'm like, "Oh my God, do you understand? I don't want to waste money. Like every time I get a new marketing person, they're like, oh, we got to do the website again. I'm like, I don't want to, I'm 57. I've done this how many times in my career? I've hundreds of different websites we've rebuilt and it's been hard up until now to start to see the value of it. Now in a world where where it's not playing around, that digital content is going to be the most important thing we have, to be seen.
Yeah.
And understanding that understanding that testing and that A/B testing you're talking about, we're going to need to do that much, much faster.
Yeah. I mean, we build websites, right, for a living. I don't even like redoing my website, our company website.
Yeah. Well, it gets tough, right?
Yep. Yep.
How long have you had Endeavor?
We've just over 10 years we've been running this company. Started it kind of coming from another company. My partner and I, we were at another company together. I left for different reasons, but then we kind of pulled each other together and started this one.
That's a lot of fun. So you guys have been partners the whole time?
Yeah, the whole 10 years. And then again, we worked together for quite a few years before that.
I mean, nothing like having a company, a staff, and going through this for the last 10 years. I know what it takes to sit in your shoes to run a business every single day, right? Especially when we've got the cannibals are coming after you every day to take your business, to take your stuff, to stay ahead of it, to really stay active and moving out there. It's a lot to stay in business.
Yeah, I mean, the AI stuff for us, we build websites, or we're developers, IT services, basically. It's really taking over our industry. We're and for good and bad. Like there's a lot of tasks that can be done by AI now that took senior people a certain amount of time, and that took them time away from other types of things. But it's hard to run a business around that when we're also utilizing AI to, run the business side of things, marketing and things like that, but also improve our processes where we are optimizing a lot of things. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of work because of people are not really sure what to do yet. So we've optimized things. We were able to reduce some headcount, unfortunately, throughout the year. And we're not really sure what that means for junior people going forward. I mean, I've been in this industry for 30 years myself. And it's like, when I started, you had to have people and they were cheap. And then we got really expensive, and then, bubbles and all kinds of ups and downs in the markets continue to kind of bring costs down, up and down, up and down. But right now, it's not really costs are down, but the time to market is really down, and it's the efficiency where we don't need the same number of people on these projects.
Well, I mean, and as they change, the hardest pivot for me is to continue to stay heads up, right, and look for where the clear space, where's the clear patch of opportunity out there, right? Where is it that people aren't taking? Is it that I can AI optimize your website so that every time anybody flows through your product and goes to your website, how do we capture that and create a sales funnel that really has that, get information data back to them? I'm watching some brands with their websites that are amazing. I mean, you just for a second go over to Southwest Airlines and just pretend you're looking for a flight somewhere. And for the next 5 days, I've got, hey, we're going to Florida. We got this great discounts, and they're doing a great job of capturing the data off the funnel and getting it back to me. Or, how many other places where they're doing it multimodal, where I'm getting it on Instagram, I see something in there, I just happen to click through a shirt. By the way, at 2:00 in the morning, I wake up and I'm flipping through Instagram, and I find these great shirts. And now I get them on my office, and I'm like, you little suckers, you got me, right? And they're doing a great job of using the AI system to be able to get, to be able to capture that data and then get multimodal on me and start to get it. And by the way, now I'm getting text messages. Hey, by the way, I got it, for the next 4 hours, I've got 20. I just got one before I came to the podcast, 20% off. We got 4 hours to do it. And I'm like, that's great. I'm going to buy 5 shirts. I'm going to get 1 free. Right. I'm like, this is great. I heard literally there were, and by the way, the shirts are $29. I'm like, and they're really great shirts. I travel with them. There's these black shirts that when you travel, they're great to wear. And I bought a couple already. And you travel all day long, come home to your hotel room, wash them, rinse them in your sink, and you can hang them. So now I can travel with half the shirts I need to carry. And I'm like, this is great. So now I want 5 more.
I am wondering, like, so the one thing I haven't seen is when I'm doing research in AI in an LM, I use it. I use like 5 different paid ones, right? Because again, we're doing it for work. I haven't seen my questions translate into ads yet. And I think that's a good thing, but it's not far off where my questions are now going to be somehow pulled into, just because I'll have conversations with people, just verbal conversations with my phone off, and I get ads in, all the different social networks on those topics that we're talking about. Like a t-shirt, I'm probably going to get t-shirt ads now the rest of the day from something.
Well, I still feel segmented in the AI world where I've got one in my car, I've got one at my desk, I've got one on my phone, and they don't feel connected completely yet. Now, I've been working on what we call her Zoe, and Zoe has become our brand ambassador at CDO Group here, and we're really trying to bring Zoe into across the whole organization. Where just remember how Hal was, and what was it? Odyssey 2000 was it? Where how you could talk to Hal? Now, don't blow me out the vacuum chamber, but where I can. We can talk to Zoe, and she can pull up bids. She can communicate, give me someone's phone number. She can send an email to a plumber, and we're starting to really work on that. But still, as of today, Zoe is maybe
closed off.
Maybe she's maybe she's a kindergartner. Right here. By the way, she's really friendly. Yeah. She's great and very helpful, but still can't I would trust her like I would trust a kindergartner. Here, let's go do this, but you got to watch her the whole time.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to the day where she becomes, a senior and then an executive and then becomes a little bit faster. But I think today is the time to start prompting and training her. That's at least what we're feeling is that we're kind of gone all in. For those that are out there, that have that same feeling we had. Remember the first time you put your credit card on the internet?
Right. Typed it in.
Right. Remember the first time you typed it in? Remember that feeling you had like, holy shit, I'm about to get the whole go. Yeah, some guy in Africa is going to be buying, Louis Vuitton bags with my credit card.
Yeah, remember that? Well, I do, but Yeah,
but today the credit card system has really created massive trust on it. And by the way, I rarely carry cash anymore. I just walked out of a Starbucks, and I haven't handed him cash over that doorway in a long time.
I think they're going to get smarter and smarter with and they already are, the amount of data that they can translate and parse. You talked about our monkey brain, they can do so much pulling it together. I think the decision is the hard. I don't know if they haven't figured it out or if they're not releasing it yet, but their abilities to make a decision on it is still kind of lacking, where it's are you sure? Why did you tell me to do this? And if a lot of people they're not doing their critical thinking. They just do it, right? Oh, just say this. And then they copy paste and they say that. It's what was that? Where did you come up with that?
I've never been more articulate than I have with Zoe. She writes amazing emails. Now she writes them so good. I have to go in and dumb them down, because people will go, yeah, Anthony didn't write that. I mean, I could be fun to talk to, but there's no way I'm speaking that eloquently.
And, yeah, I know.
I mean, she does such a great job of writing emails. I'm like, boy. And then by the way, especially when I'm emotional, she'll take all of that out, leave it friendly, and still be, a little snarky to get the point across.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some in our email system, or we've tried a few, because they kind of do our calendar and they read our email and parse it and they do all the categorization and things, and they'll create a draft for us. We actually got rid of it. It was it would pull information that was based off of other. It feels like the smarter it got, it was pulling information across other things. Because I'm technically in sales because I'm an owner, but I do hands-on development too. So the amount of information they have was a little bit, they couldn't understand my type of role.
Oh, got it. So wait. The AI couldn't figure out your role?
I don't think so. As an owner and hands-on developer on the team, as well as a marketing person, I'm talking to all different people through my emails, and it just never really understood some of the responses, how it's supposed to respond.
Well, so what I've done now is I've gone into Zoe and really created me as a character, right?
Yeah.
And when I say all in, I mean I put my medical records on there. I put
Okay.
my blood test. I put my everything goes in there. Literally everything that I'm doing. And the truth is, I'm going to get to a point where it'll be tax returns. It'll be all of my data. Which, look, you think I'm scared now? Just wait till I hit that.
So I'm talking to a real person now, right? I'm not just talking to AI.
You are talking to a real person. But here,
I don't know how to verify that, though.
Well, so here's what's funny is I'm with you. Look. Sorry, hold on to that for a second. Here, and that's going to be really important because here, let's kind of for me, I'm trying to create an AI model that knows me so well that I could leave it for my children and my grandchildren, and for the next 300 years or 500 years from now, people will get to know their great grandfather Anthony, who was this guy, a podcaster, entrepreneur, and they'll know. Just imagine how that would be for them later on, and in a world where we're probably robots by then, but. Let's go back to your point about being able to trust it, right? If in a world where, do you remember the first time? Did you ever do this? I took a dollar bill once, and I went to our school photocopy machine and I photocopied it, right? Yeah. And I figured out how to do it so that it would be exactly right. So I had a $20 bill, and I figured out how to do that. If your feds don't get mad at me, I did that. And then I somehow my mother found out, and she freaked out. She's like, "Dude, you cannot do that. That's a federal offense. You'll go to jail." And we knew that if you forged our money, we couldn't trust the money supply. So we made really big penalties about that. Mm-hmm. Right. In order for look, the United States has the number one money supply. Hey, look, you could hate us. You could hate everything about us. You could think we suck. You could, the whole world, whoever you are out there in the world that hates us, but you'll love our money. Here, when it comes to U.S. dollars, you find a stack of greenbacks. I don't care if you're all
use our physical dollars for
yeah. You'll take our dollars and you'll spend it, right? I mean, but that same data, that same thing has to happen with us, doesn't it? Have to happen with humans and trust of. If I can't trust it's you or that you're talking to me, right? What does that do to the trust factor between humans?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have an answer to that. I mean, I think we're going to find out in the next couple of election cycles. Let's be real. Like, that's where it's going to really get played out, and it's going to be hard. I think it's either going to be, if it does get utilized, right, then people are going to really shut down. Like, I don't believe anything online, and maybe we'll go back to cat videos and the thing that's supposed to be built for.
I look at my social media, and it drives me bananas. Has me so figured. The first I go to Instagram, right. The very first video that comes on is like a pow, like literally it's a shocker of some political crap that I'm going to be mad at, and I'm like, all right, just stop. It's just Instagram trying to get me excited, and then. The algorithm has figured me out so well. It'll pop that up first, and then it'll be a car chase, and then a fight. Then somebody got some sort of technology thing, and it's just figured out how to bounce through my brain where it's not all anger. It's a little bit of fun. Oh, and then girls will pop up, some cute girl, and then some, something to get my mail site. But it's funny how those algorithms have really, jumped into us. And but what I'm worried about is some of that content I'm seeing, especially those first ones. I know today they're fake.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, right. I mean, there's things that are, the one I had this morning was really, really sensitive. And I thought to myself, I was mad about it. I'm like, I know they're literally playing me. And I think your point is right on. I mean, at one point do we go, we can't, but then there's that part of us that wants to see what we want to see, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, well, and also the sharing, even though it's fake, I'll share fake stuff, or like it. Like, I saw one, I wasn't sure at first. It was there's been, I think someone figured out it's obviously Halloween. So they're showing videos like there's this bear that creeped up to the thing, and then the thing scared it, and it got scared, and it ran off, and then it came back and it just destroyed the thing and then took the candy. It's a big black bear or something. It's like, but then I saw raccoons and squirrel, like, it just kept going. It was like, oh, okay. Well, the first one was funny, and I liked it, unfortunately. And now I'm going to get all this fake AI animals destroying Halloween candy.
Well,
I mean, that's lighthearted, but
here, that's just one thing that we don't want to share about the real stuff that gets triggered. Like I don't want to get political on this website on this on here, but the first ones to get on are literally some sort of political thing that will just poke at me. And I'm like, all right, I know better. Look, I know better. I'm the guy who sits here and preaches about don't get sucked into it. And I get sucked into it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I can't imagine if I'm doing it, my kids are doing it, their friends are doing it, across our country, a lot of us are doing it. And I think some of that's causing some of the divide, no matter what side you're on, that's causing this divide between humans. And, that's when I want to say, look, most men I've ever met, I don't know you that well because we're doing this podcast for the first time, but I know one thing. You're a man on the other side of the planet. You're 5 hours away from me. And I know one thing, you want to work hard to build a better life for you, your family, and your community. And I've never, ever spent a day with you. Now, I've done that same experience with people in India and in Africa and in Hong Kong. Around the world I've traveled, and I've never met a human being that doesn't want that. And today's social media is telling me that's not true, that these people are bad and those people are bad. And they're trying to make that out, trying to pit us against each other. And I know that that's not really fundamentally true.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a basic need for most people, and it's pretty just to survive. And, when people start to twist of how you can survive or what you actually need is when people get divisive or divisive. I mean, politically, like not to get real, like just in politics and voting, it's like 3% of our country actually makes the choice of where we're going to go. I mean, in most places, even in California, where it's like, it's a 10% difference. It's not 99% are one way and that there's only 1%. It's like a 40-60. Like that's a relatively well balanced. And that's, in our country, that's one of the most, one leaning. And then you have middle of the country, it's the same thing. And again, like presidents, like they're getting picked by that 1 or 5% of people that have shifted that way. And that's where it goes.
So let's dive back into, as we really make these websites that help companies really develop, they want to be that 3 to 5% different than all the other brands that are out there, right? In order for them to really be more effective, in a world where you're driving conversations, you're building performance, and you're scalable, and you really make it scalable and secure for the transaction to happen in a way that really builds brand confidence and builds, accountability and communication to people, right? Today, let's talk a little bit about when someone comes to you, how do you start to look at their website? Where do you start with the conversation? Matt, I want to start working on my website. I want to make it the best website out there. I want to be able to sell more products and have the world see me more often. What do I do, Matt?
Yeah, we want to know how you're making money. Is it just through your website or is it through other social channels? And what type of audience do you already have? A lot of times when we talk to people, they're trying to get more audience, more views. And the reality, I think we mentioned this or we talked about it, I don't remember if it's on camera or not, but most sites just need to tune the audience or the traffic that they already have. And you start to look at that where those are small changes and that can affect 5 to 10% of revenue. And that's not like that's top, like that's now money that you didn't have to spend additional. You're not spending more marketing, more ad spend to get that audience. You already had that. You already spent that money. And now you're getting revenue off of people that are going to come back also. Like that's just one time that they're going to fix that issue. And then there's all kinds of impression and like they may not purchase now, but if the site's slow, if the site's broken, if they went to something they can't find something, as we talked about, like discoverability, they're either never going to come back and they're also not going to tell anyone else to go there. They're not going to share it. They're not going to tell on social. And that's going to have long lasting effects that you can only pay for your for your audience and your traffic so much. At some point it costs more money than the acquisition cost is going to actually pay for itself. So going through that process initially, and then there's lots of maintenance things where it's like, once you get to a certain level, you don't want to go backwards. So then it's just a maintenance thing where, either we can give them a plan or we can help them keep the plan going.
That's awesome. Well, look, it's exciting to watch, and in a world where it's changing so fast, having a person like yourself that can help me coach me through my website development, keep me on the front edge. You guys are doing some amazing stuff over there at Endeavor, and love to have our audience get a hold of you. If people want to get a hold of you and have them come work on their website, get engaged, really start to think about where the future is going and build websites built for the future, Pat, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, best way is going to our website. It's weird spelling, Endeavor. It's ndevr.io. But you can also find me on LinkedIn. It's probably the easiest way to remember. It's Matt Dorman. Just go to LinkedIn, look me up. I'm happy to make a connection. Happy to answer free questions too, all the time.
That's great. And by the way, we'll have all that down below. What's funny, Matt, is I probably would have spelled Endeavor that way because I spell so funny. But Jonathan, stop laughing. We'll put all the website stuff down there. Audience, get on the website. Come check it out. Have them go do a tune-up of your website. Go take a look at it and see what. Look, if nothing else, today is the day. Stop being a taxi driver. Jump into Uber. The future is here. You're holding on to your old websites and you're not doing yourself any benefit. Now's the time to start thinking about, all right, how can I start making this website more profitable, capture more data? You won't know where it's going to take you. Remember, you did not know that Uber would exist when cars were invented. The thing you need to understand today is that your data is the most important thing that you can give to an AI world. So jump out there with Matt. And Matt, so happy to have you on here. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Awesome. Hey, audience, last week, another blowout week. Of people watching the podcast, and the numbers were great. We had 33% of you last week that were not. A third of you had not signed up or been part of it. If you could take a second right now and like and subscribe. By the way, Jonathan's trying to get a skateboard with electric skateboards. I said, look, if you get 5,000 subscribers, I'll buy you an electric skateboard. He's dying to get that skateboard. Get it. Go like and subscribe. Do that now, and he'll be having his way to get himself a skateboard. I promise him to go do that. So if you could like and subscribe and do that now. And as always, thanks for listening.